here lives Hultefolk woman. Her name is Pulta, and when I was growing up, she was my best friend, and I found out as I grew older that she was of a species we call Hultefolk, or hidden people. The Hultefolk are very much like us humans in appearance and like us in many ways. She lives here with her family, and their home is much bigger on the inside than on the outside. And that's very common in the elf world. So Pulta will come with us as we walk. I was raised here. I lived my first 20 years here in the neighborhood of Helliskerri Park. So when I was a child, I used to play with elves and Hultefolk that live here in the park, and of course with human children too. I never thought anything about that until later when I tried to talk about it with my friends, and they didn't seem to have the same friends as I did. So.
I'd say that folklore is a larger part of people today than religion. And in folklore, I mean like believing in fate, for instance.
You can be knocked off your feet by the wind. You can see the wind can make shapes in the snow. The sun sets and the lava takes on the shapes of trolls and human beings in the darkness. So you realize that this is a very living landscape, and in a sense many of these beliefs to do with the elves and hidden ones, they're all reflecting that sort of idea. It's not that Icelanders see little dancing elves wearing ballet costumes and pointy ears and arrows, but they do sense the landscape as being alive.
So this is an entrance to what I call a cafe. It's maybe a kind of elf humor, because they don't drink coffee, but they think it's funny. I call it cafe. It's a place where the beings gather. They meet here to drink herbal tea together. They sing very much, and they also meet here to discuss things. If they have to make big decisions, well, or smaller big decisions. And in between discussions, they sing. So they don't fight that much, and they don't understand human politics at all. And I think it would be much more fun if human politicians would sing a little bit in between. Maybe later. A few years ago, my husband and I and our kids, we moved back to the area, and some of the elves and Hultefolk in the park asked me if I was willing to do this with this elf garden. It seems that their voices are not heard very much in the human world, so they needed a spokesperson. I always felt this was a part of that. So I just said yes, no problem. It's not what I mean.
Here it pretty much all started when my husband was building these houses about 10 years ago. Ronja! Ronja! Nay! When he was building these houses, these thoughts came to him all the time about, because when we first came here, people came to us and told us that there's a lot of elves living in this land. And when he was building, and these thoughts kept coming to him that there was a lot around here. These are the hidden people, Hultefolk. They are the ones that look like us. What they do is they borrow things, and they say that they put like a cloth over the thing that you're looking for, and it disappears, and you look everywhere and it doesn't show. We have one experience from the hidden people borrowing things from us. We had a group coming here, and they had like a dish with salmon, and on a part of the dish we had like a glaze on the plate. We had already put out half the plates, and I sent my girl to get some more glaze, and she said it's not there. And I said yes, it's in the shelf. I told her exactly where it is, and she said no, it's not there. So I went back to see to get it because I knew exactly where it was, and it was not there. And what can you do? Half the plates were already out, so we had to do something. So we took some chocolate sauce and put on the rest of them. And afterwards, we sat down and started to look for the glaze. The glaze was in the shelf, exactly where we put it. I have to say, I got a little bit shaky after that because I didn't expect it, and all the girls had been looking, and yeah, so that was really real for us.
In my wife's case, it's usually spirits. I've been with her when suddenly she's been looking at a shadow in the corner of the room, which suddenly she says is not a shadow, it's walking towards us. Or a room that seemed to be full of people walking back and forth, and I ended up having to sleep on the floor to prove that they weren't there. So I think she's sensitive in that way, and I'm not going to question things that she's seen.
This is my most favorite tree. I grew up here in the neighborhood, and since I was a little girl, I always come here to visit this tree. When I started talking about this tree, a friend of mine, I found out that many people have this tree for a friend. They just never wanted to tell anyone. There is something very special about this friendly energy. So many people have become tree huggers just by visiting this tree. It's very nice, very friendly. Inside this tree is also an elf woman. She made her house here only a few years ago, and she's coming out to say hello to you. The door is here, and this elf woman is this high. She's very old, around maybe 700 years old. She's, we could call her medicine woman. She makes medicine from herbs, and she sometimes comes into people's dreams to help them, saying something like, you know, if you mix this plant and make a tea, it would be good for your coughing or cold or something. So she's very nice, very good friend to have.
People came here and they came across a land that was clearly very much alive. So you could tell stories to explain how to deal with the land, and the stories that we tell, I describe them as being the clothes worn by the land, and what gives land character and history and depth.
Snurra, hej, kan du? Hej, ja. Ja, jag vet det. Ja, sen. Usually there may be 2 or 3 species of the bigger elves or beings that live in the same area. But in this park, it's a small park right in the middle of town, but it's like an elf city. There are so many types of beings here, it's unusual. But they live here because they want to be in touch with humans again. They want us all to work together between the worlds. All the nature beings, the humans, the animals and the plants. And if only we humans could learn how to do that, how to work together, all of us, that would be, yeah, so much easier. We humans are nature beings. We just tend to forget that, and the elves want to help us remember. We can't live without nature. We try, we can't. So we are standing in front of a big church door, And this place is very special. The energy is very special, very high, beautiful energy. All the beings meet here in this place, even though the beings are of many sizes, many types, even of many different types of faith. They all meet here to work with the light together, as they call it, working with the light. I asked them how they can all meet here together in the same place, even though they have different types of faith. And they told me that if you work with the light, it doesn't matter to us what you call the light. And I think that's very precious, something we humans could learn from maybe. They have two main festivals in the year, winter solstice and summer solstice. And at that time, it's the energy here is overflowing, you could say. Many humans choose to get married here in this park, and very often they choose this place to get married and usually have no idea it's an elf church. It's something to do with the energy. I think we all humans sense more than we realize. So we sense that there is this energy here, and we choose this place therefore. It's a very special place.
A former prime minister was once asked if he believed in elves. He said, "My grandmother believed in elves and she never lied."
There's a need to believe that there's something out there that's watching over you, that's unanswered, that's mysterious.